Hey everybody, sorry it's been so long since the last video. We've been working like crazy. We had 2 timber framing classes, which went absolutely amazing. And we have most of the house frame actually standing. So I'm way behind on these videos, but I promise I'm gonna start pumping these out again and get all caught up now that all that crazy mad dash is over. And the last video we had the tree service and excavators come out and remove the trees and stumps and start clearing the land. And in this video, we're gonna be prepping the ground and installing a foundation. So a lot going on, it's really exciting, and I hope you enjoy. All right, everybody, so things are moving along really fast, almost too fast for my comfort after spending years of planning this and waiting for everything. Then all of a sudden, within the course of like a week, all the trees are gone. There's a big hole dug, and they're continuing on today. We have soil engineers coming out this morning, and they're gonna take a look at the site. There's an area in the middle that has some fill that was put there previously that we kind of knew about, but we had done some test holes when we came out and perk tested the property over here where we'll be able to put our drain fields. So when we were doing that, we had the excavators come dig a bunch of test pits where this house is, this new location is going to be, and we knew about this this little fill area, but it was only about 3 feet deep. And just a quick recap and going backwards a little bit, originally we wanted to put the house way down on the property over there. There's another high spot right where we're at. We're by a river, we're low, we're we only have a couple areas that are above the 100-year floodplain, this being one. And down there, well, down there had the beautiful river view, but the bad part was that there's a bunch of rubble buried there. 40-50 years ago, they buried a bunch of concrete and old buildings and anything and everything back there. And so we had these same soil engineers come out and do some test pits and do an analysis on what they would recommend us to do. And they basically said you need to excavate it all out, and it was about 10 to 11 feet deep, the whole footprint of the house. And so we asked the excavators what that would cost, and it was hugely expensive, way more than what we could afford. So sadly we had to reassess, and we decided to move over here, which at the end of the day, we're not heartbroken about it. We're close to the shop, which is nice. We have, we still have a nice view of our chicken coop and the wildflower meadow and everything. So at the end of the day, we're okay with it. But we have the soil engineers coming out this morning. They're gonna look at the site and do a little bit of testing to make sure that this ground, which we believe is native, undisturbed soil, and hopefully there's not any problems that they see, because that would be pretty devastating. It looks like the excavators are going to bring a bunch of sand in. They got their dozer and roller. They'll bring sand in, layer it, compact it. The soil engineers will come back out and test it as they do that work, because Thursday the foundation crew is coming to put our foundation in. So hopefully there's no big bumps in the road, and all that can go smoothly, and we can get that foundation poured. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm Chris.
Jason.
Jason, nice to meet you.
Adam.
Adam, nice to meet you guys.
Typically on our, if we hit 50 blows, we call it refusal, and that's per 6 inches. And I think you probably hit 50 before we got the tip in.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so it's hard. I'm like, holy, I told him, like, we moved it like 3 spots and we couldn't even like penetrate it, so you can fill it if you want. I'm just sending these in just so you want to see the pictures. So.
So the soil engineers did all their compaction tests and also checked to see if the soil was undisturbed by checking test pits in each corner of the foundation, and everything looked good, so we were able to move on to the next step. Now that we have the green light to proceed, the excavators start bringing in sand and spreading it and compacting it in 6-inch to 1-foot increments. And because we're building next to a 100-year floodplain, I want to keep my footers and crawl space floor about 4.5 feet above that 100-year floodplain. And if you aren't familiar with that, a 100-year floodplain is an area usually next to a river that, based on scientific studies and historical flooding records, it has a 1% chance each year that a flood could happen and reach that elevation level. So we really want to make sure that we're well above that for both insurance reasons and peace of mind. So we basically had 3 options for our foundation. We could either do a slab on grade, a crawl space, or a full basement. Well, the full basement was out because we couldn't dig down any farther, because again, we needed to make sure we stayed above that 100-year floodplain level. And I didn't want to build the basement floor at current grade like we're gonna do, and then have an 8-foot tall basement wall and then our house on top of that. It would have just been too steep of a grade up to that first floor. It would have cost a lot more in fill to bring in, to grade up to it, and I just don't think it would look good sitting that high, especially next to our barn. The next option would have been a monolithic concrete slab, but we would have had to lay out and figure all of our HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, and then bury that in the concrete. And if we were ever to have any issues, that would mean that we would have to tear that concrete up, fix that, re-pour it. Just sounds like a headache, something I didn't want to do. So we ultimately decided to do a 4-foot condition crawl space. Now this allows me to run all my utilities, it gives me some extra storage, and since it's conditioned, it won't be a nasty, moldy, dank area like most people envision a crawl space being, and it gets my first floor another 4 feet higher, putting us over 8 feet above that 100-year floodplain, which will give me even more peace of mind, but it isn't too high to make it look out of place or cost too much to bring in fill and grade up to it. So Cook Brothers Excavating did a great job placing and compacting the sand. The soil engineers came back out and did compaction tests on the sand, and they said it was excellent, so we were able to move on to the foundation. For the foundation, I went with another local company, Portland Poured Walls, and they worked off of the engineered plans that were drawn up by our engineers at Shelter Institute, who specialize in timber frame structures. For the main section of the house that requires a French drain around the footers, they installed these special footing forms that are hollow and perforated, which get left in place after the concrete is poured, and they act as the drain, which I thought was kind of cool. I had never seen that before, but then again, I don't really work in concrete or know a whole lot about it, so maybe it's pretty commonplace, but again, I thought that was pretty cool. These guys worked really fast and efficiently, and I was really impressed. In just a couple hours, they had built the forms for the footers and installed all the required rebar. Then the next day, the concrete arrived, and they used this really cool conveyor type pump truck that was remote controlled, and they used that to place the concrete in the footers exactly where they wanted. Once the footers are dry enough, the crew comes back with a truck full of these aluminum forms that they're going to use to make the crawl space walls. These forms come in many different sizes, and they use a different combination to get the exact foundation wall dimensions just right according to the plans. Once they know the layout is right, then they can go back and secure all the forms together using these special pins and metal wedges. These metal brackets that go between the forms ensure that the forms are spaced properly, and the little grooves in them help support and space the rebar properly. Here the crew is installing wood forms that were made to create what's called a brick ledge. Usually these are on the outside face of a foundation wall, and like the name suggests, it's for bricks to be installed on. But for this foundation, we're installing it to the inside for our floor joists to sit on. In many houses, floor joists sit on top of the sill plate that's on top of the foundation wall, but for this build, it ended up being a lot cheaper to drop the joists onto an inside brick ledge, and it saved me the cost of a 3x12 PSL sill plate that the original plans called for, which was hugely expensive. This method is also becoming more popular in homes because it allows for a zero-step entrance from garage to home, which will be a nice feature in this house as well. Now that the forms are good to go, they'll call in the concrete and pump truck again and start pouring. As they pour, they'll use a concrete vibrator to make sure that there aren't any voids. They'll fill the walls so that they're just to the top of the wood brick ledge forms, making sure I'll have a nice level house. They'll smooth it all out, place all the required sill plate J-bolts according to code. The next day, the guys came back when the concrete was dry enough and removed all the forms and packed them all away, and they're off to the next job. Again, I was really impressed by the speed and the efficiency in which these guys worked. I have a huge respect for hardworking blue-collar guys like this. They definitely inspire me to work a lot harder. So if you need a foundation wall done in the Michigan area, give Portland Poured Walls a call, or for any excavation work, give Cook Brothers a call. I'll put their info down in the description. Well, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this transformation. I know for me, it was pretty amazing seeing the property basically going from a lawn and trees to a foundation in just a matter of a couple weeks. So pretty cool. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. There's going to be a bunch of the videos coming out as we progress through this house build. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.